week's live stream. We teach our Chromebot 3000 some fancy new dance moves. Abraham shines light on a dark new scratch game that's turning heads. And Kevin shows you how this scratcher faked a 3D effect on his blocky Minecraft characters. All this and more coming right up on the Chromeworks live stream. Good morning, Internet. It's Mr. T back again with another live stream. Look at this cool background that I got set up here. I'm still really pumped about this robot idol contest. We are putting out part 2 of our tutorial at 11 o'clock today, so you can look forward to that. So last week we taught you how to draw the Chromebot 3000, and this week we're giving it some dance moves. So those of you who are watching on the stream, I have sent a link to the Chromebot file inside the chat. So while we're watching these tutorials, if any of you want to take a try at making a dance move, just share the file with me before the end of the session here. And at the end of the day, if anyone has completed any more Chromebots, I will get them online. So basically just add one cool dance move, maybe 3 or 4 or up to 10 frames long or so, and share it. And I will be able to find it if you just remix my Chromebot 3000 file that I've given you the link for. I don't think I put it in the Discord chat, so I'm going to put it there as well right now. And so if anyone wants to go ahead and try their hand at creating a new costume, you can go ahead and delete my other ones if you like and just start with the default T-pose costume and then try and make something up. So in the tutorial today, I'm going to be walking through all the different steps that are involved in it, and I think I'm going to do a little demo for you guys live on the air as well right now, just to give you guys a sense of how we would go about designing a dance move for this character. Meanwhile, I wanted to give one more plug for the Chromeworks robot website, which is kind of the home base for this contest. We still don't have a final date for the contest, but I would like to, sometime in the next week or two, I'll be announcing what the final date is once I get a sense of how many more tutorials I'm going to do. There's going to be at least one more major tutorial on how to use custom blocks and how to synchronize stuff to music. And then there's going to be a couple of other little ones on little techniques and things like that. So I'm thinking we'll probably have the contest deadline somewhere in like the first week of February or something along those lines. And just stay tuned for that. Okay, so let me get over to my other screen here. Oh, my transition's not working for some reason. I had the most horrible computer meltdown this week. My hard drive crashed and I had to completely reinstall Windows. So it's just a wing and a prayer here today, and I have no idea whether everything's set up properly. If anyone is seeing or hearing something wacky, please let me know in the chat, and I will be happy to try and fix that. But this week, there are no promises. Things could get a little wacky around here. So here is my website, chromeworks.ca. You can see I've put a new banner across the top of the home page that you can click to get to my robot homepage. And from here, you can find the contest instructions. You can find the studio link for sharing your file with me. There's only one entry so far in the age 12 and under category, and so we're looking for way more entries. I've got my trailer here, and I'm starting to place the tutorials here as well, including my part 2. I don't think that link will work until 11 o'clock though. So all the tutorials and other stuff that I'm putting together related to Robot Idol was just going in. Dex asking, was that my entry? Oh, sorry. Did you? Wasn't sure you saved it in the folder. I thought you were still looking for feedback on it. But no. So Deck has entered, and Rowan, a student from Ottawa here, has also entered. And other than that, we have no other entries right now. So looking forward to seeing more Robot Idol entries. I saw a bunch of stuff created by the students at Much More, and we showed that last week, but I'd like to get more actual official entries. Okay, so let's get moving here. Actually, I did want to walk you guys through kind of a live exercise in designing the Chromebot. So this is kind of a preview of what we're going to be doing here. And so this is the dance move that I created for my Chromebot 3000, and it's the one that's featured inside our tutorial today. You see that we've got some cool stuff going on here. He's moving his arms up and down. I call this move the Egyptian because it's kind of like you can't really show here, but in Egyptian pictures, hieroglyphs and stuff like that, they always have their arms up in this kind of pattern, and so that was what kind of inspired this particular dance move. So who's online with us today, by the way? Anyway, we've got Super Cannon 20s online with us on stage, and Deck, the decoder's here as well. We have a couple of regrets from other people who are busy with other stuff, and Top Secret Asians with us as usual in the chat. Not sure if our chat's very busy today. It seems like after the new year started, we're having a hard time getting viewers, though lots of people are watching it after the fact. So if you're lurking in the chat, please say hello and I'll give you a shout out, and would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear who else is watching right now. Link for the folder. So Deck is asking for the link for the folder. You mean for the Robot Idol Championship? Yeah, so what you can do is just go to my website. The link is right here. Just click on the I think you're 12, right, aren't you, Deck? So you can just click on that link and that will take you to the studio. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the Chromebot 3000 here, and I just wanted to show you how I created this move. So it was really about duplicating this initial T-pose character and then making minor modifications. I show you guys in the video how to get onion skinning going inside Scratch, not a default feature, but something added in the Scratch add-ons feature, and you can see how useful that is to try and keep your guys aligned so that their movement is very smooth with each other. I'm going to make another quick dance move here right now. Anyone in the chat have any suggestions? Deck, what do you think? What kind of move should I try and make here?
Maybe make him like do a roly-poly, like spin around.
Spin around, like spin his whole body around?
That like rotate his body.
Rotate his body around. Well, we could try that. I think the key to that is going to be, though, like we're going to want his body to look like it's moving around, and then we're going to want to take the actual sprite and turn it while we're doing that. Though I could do it in the costumes as well, I guess, eh? Let's try and see if we can get this guy to do some kind of a funky handstand. I don't want to spend too much time on this, so I'm going to do a fairly rough animation here. So I'm going to start with this T-pose here. And let's have him move his arm down a little bit. So first of all, I have to make a duplicate of it. And then I'm going to ungroup it and bend it down a little bit. And maybe I'll put this arm up in the air. So let's ungroup that one too. And I'll turn this one up here. There we go. Then I'll duplicate that. And maybe I will actually spin the whole body around here instead of just spinning the costume. Or instead of spinning the sprite around, I'm going to spin the costume around here. So actually, I want to also start kicking his leg up while I'm doing that. So let's ungroup this. This is going to be very rough. I would want to take some more time to do this in the real life. Hello to Beanie2K. He can't hear me, he says. Top Secret Asian, is the audio working? Can someone test the audio on YouTube and see?
Yeah, it's working.
Oh, it's working fine. So Beanie, I don't know what's going on. So the audio is working in YouTube, buddy. Not sure what's going on there. Is your volume turned down too low? Maybe. I'm going to crank the feed volume from the microphone in there. All right. Well, apparently it's working right now anyway. So, all right, so I'm going to kick his leg out a little bit here, and I'm going to kick it out even more inside the second one here, and maybe I'll do the other one as well. And in the second frame here, let's ungroup that as well. So the key to turning these guys around, let me flip his leg around here as well. I'll do a flip horizontal. There we go. And we just are going to get this set up so that it looks kind of like he's flipping around. And in this particular costume, we're going to start spinning his body around as well. So let's bring his arms right down. And then we'll grab his whole body with the black tool here and start spinning it. And now we'll duplicate it, and we'll just finish that. We'll just move his arms and legs around a little bit more. And we'll tuck his legs in a little bit more. And then we'll straighten everything else out as he comes around. So let's spin his whole body around. And you can see how that onion skin is coming in handy. If the onion skin's not dark enough, there is a setting here that lets you change the opacity of it. Right now it's at 25%, so we can turn it up to like 40 or something, and that might help a little bit.
Mr. T.
Yeah.
How did you get that?
The onion skinning. So I show you guys in the tutorial at 11 o'clock. It is a setting in Scratch add-ons. I'm recommending anyone who's really serious about animation Scratch should be doing the onion skinning, and you can only get it from Scratch. Well, I think Turbo Warp offers it as well. But if you want to do it inside the Scratch interface here, you're going to want to use Scratch add-ons. And a super handy animation tool for sure. Let's just do a couple more costumes here just to... actually, I'm just going to do a dip and then have him come back again, I think. So, because I just don't want to spend too much time with this animation today. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do one more straightening his leg out here. Actually, we can go a little bit further here. And let's tilt him a little bit more. And then I'll just duplicate it a couple more times and start to straighten his arm out. So you guys can see that. Yeah, so Deck was asking in the chat, but of course he's already figured that out. So let's straighten those arms out a little bit. Yeah, the onion skin turns out to be super handy for this stuff. Now, normally I would be spending a lot more time and attention on this to make sure it's working properly. But since we're on live TV here, I don't really want to belabor the point here. So let's bring his arm down here. And then we'll just have him go back to a normal position again. And so we'll straighten this guy out so that he's totally vertical now. Actually, I'm going to bring that right down. All right, so this is a very rough animation, but I think it should work fairly well. So we're starting over at the T-pose, which is costume 7 here. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go look at the existing code here, and I'm going to switch costume to costume 7, which is actually called test. And we're going to go through all these costumes. So how many costumes are there? Let's have a look here. So we go from test to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 costume changes. And then we're going to go backwards for 6 costume changes. And as I show you in the tutorial, guys, we can go backward through our costumes by going switch costume to costume number -1, and that'll move it backwards. Hi, Blonde Gaming. Nice to see you. Beanie, I sent the link, but I will send it one more time here. If you can't see it, maybe you logged in after I posted it. So there is the link. I would love for you guys to come up with something. If you can come in and do one of these. Oh, it looks like this is looking pretty good now. So if you can come up with your own dance move before the end of today's broadcast, then I will show it. I think I'm going to do a little pause here in between the transitions. So let's go wait half a second. And I think I'm not getting over to that last costume. I think I need to maybe do repeat 7 instead of repeat 6 here. Let's see what that looks like. No, it is repeat 6. There we go. Anyway, so we've got a fun little dance move here where he's kind of flipping himself upside down. Now, as I said, this is going to be a matter in the end of adding a whole bunch of dance moves together. And what we're going to be doing in next week's episode is adding some custom blocks here, so that we'll have a custom block that says flip, and we'll have another custom block that says do the Egyptian, and we'll be able to string those together and synchronize them to music. So that's what we're going to be doing in next week's episode. This is just a little preview of what's going on here. Okay, so Deck sent out a link to Scratch add-ons. I can show it to you guys quickly since there seems to be some curiosity about it. So it is a really cool little Scratch feature. Once you install it off of the Chrome Web Store, you'll see that it'll appear in your tabs over here on the right-hand side. And most of the options are actually, so this is like a little mini menu, but if you click on the gear icon, you'll see all kinds of different options here. And one of them is to turn onion skinning on. So if you go to the top and go to the search window here, you'll find onion skinning and a description of how onion skinning works. And you can flip it on or off by flicking this switch here. I'm a huge fan of Scratch add-ons. I think they're a super cool way to buff up your Scratch game. And I have done another tutorial on how to redesign your Scratch blocks so that you have different shaped and different colored blocks inside Scratch. But look at all these different options here. There's so many different ways that you can tweak and modify your Scratch interface here. It just goes on and on and on. And some of them are genuinely handy tools. The onion skinning is one of my favorite ones. I also have a clone counter that keeps track of how many clones are on the screen, and that's helped me avoid all kinds of bugs and stuff along the way as well. Hi to Matthew 378. So all you guys who were chatting in the chat, Beanie and Matthew and Blonde Gaming, if you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself, I would love to say it on the stream. I'm really interested in particular on where people are from. I don't need any private information. I don't need your home address. I just kind of want to know what city or country you're from. If you say, hey, I'm from New York, or hey, I'm from Taipei, Taiwan, or something like that, I think it's really cool to see all the people from all over the world who are joining our stream here. And I just think it's a fantastic example of the way that technology is helping keep us all connected. Okay, guys, so I'm going to cut this short. The full tutorial on how to do this is going to be released at 11 o'clock, as I said. I just wanted to give you a quick preview of the kind of techniques I was going to be showing you. Oh, Blonde Gaming is from Ottawa. Okay, well, that's great. Well, it is cold here in Ottawa, by the way, guys. It is minus 30 out today, which for my American friends is minus 22 Fahrenheit, so super duper cold. Oh, Blonde Gaming is Aiden, a longtime member of the channel who just renamed himself. And Matthew is from Houston. He's always wanted to make games. All right, well, Matthew, I've got all kinds of tutorials ready for you to go here, buddy. If you're brand new to Scratch, and Beanie's from Idaho. Well, welcome everybody. It's so nice to see you guys on the stream. If you guys are new to Scratch, one of the things I would really suggest is check out my cat and mouse curriculum, which you'll find on my website, chromeworks.ca. Cat and mouse is my introduction to Scratch tutorial, and I'm trying to get all the kids all over the world who are interested in learning Scratch to have a look at this. It really breaks it down into a nice, simple curriculum. It's about 45 minutes worth of video, or sorry, 75 minutes worth of video, and it explains everything you need to know to get started making your own games in Scratch. So, so go ahead. Yeah. Well, okay, so Blonde Gaming says he likes to play games like Call of Duty. Well, of course, most boys your age probably do. Beanie says he'll try out Cat and Mouse. Please tell us what you think about it. I'm very eager to have more students try it. And tell your teachers about it, guys. This was designed from the ground up to be taught in the classroom. So if your teacher is clueless about Scratch, turn them on to this video and get them going. Okay, guys, I've got lots of content to show here. Oh, I wanted to show you a few more robots. So let's start with Music Man Jim, who did a really fun robot for us. It's actually a remix of my Chromebot 3000 that adds a bunny to it, and this is called the Chromeworks Bunny Dance. And I think it's just fantastic. Here we go. Thanks to Music Man Joe for that entry. Is this a meme or something that I'm not aware of? Oh, Music Man Joe. I said Music Man Jim? Oh, I'm sorry. It is Music Man Joe. I thought I said Music Man Joe.
I couldn't find practice.
Okay. My Alexa, stop. I don't know how, I didn't say anything that sounded like Alexa. I have no idea how that happened. All right, she's horning in on my live stream here. Beanie says Music Man Joe is famous. I haven't looked at his number of followers. I know that he's an experienced scratcher. Let's have a. So must be his alt account. It's called Music Men No. I don't think that's his main account though. So yeah, here's the Music Man Oh. So I couldn't tell you how many followers he has. I don't think this is his main channel. Yeah, this is his alt channel. It only has 10 viewers. If anyone can look that up and tell me how many viewers Music Man Joe has, I'd like to see just how famous he is. Beanie, if you want to tell me that number, I'd be happy to show it. Anyway, so that's Music Man Joe's version of this, and I thought that was a nice little remix of my Chromebot. And Deck made his own robot. He hasn't entered in the competition yet, but he's almost ready to go with it. And so this is the Dal Deck, or instead of Dalek, since Deck's name is Deck, he's called it the Dal Deck. And I think it's a fun little project. Exterminate! Nice scrolling, Deck. All right, so this is a nice little project. I had a few little tweaks that I wanted to suggest to it, so I think it is time for Extreme Makeover. All right, so Deck, I wanted to show you how to get a much smoother curve out of this. I see you use the paintbrush to draw this half arc here on the robot, and you did a fairly good job of drawing it freehand, but you can see all the imperfections in it here, and Scratch is able to draw such lovely circles. I wanted to show you how to use the Scratch Circle tool to get a much cleaner curve. And so let me just go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go and draw this shape, and I'm going to grab, let's draw a perfect circle, or something a little closer to a perfect circle here by stretching it out. There we go. And let's grab the paint bucket, and I'm going to fill it up with this gold fill color. There we go. Now, so how do we get a perfect circle out of this? It's a couple of steps. The process that's involved here. Let me just make sure the size is more or less right. Yeah, that's looking pretty good now. So I'm going to add some extra control points to this object. I'm going to click on the Reshape tool right here. And I'm going to click, we've got all the points we need. We've got a semicircle here because we've got 4 points. We really just need to get rid of the 1 point. So I'm going to click on it here, and you can see how I've highlighted it. I have some controls here. Instead of modifying this, I'm just going to hit the delete key, bang, and that's gone. Now, this still doesn't look like a semicircle though, because these corners here are rounded instead of sharp edges. And so what we can do is convert these edges to sharp edges by clicking on this one and then going over here to where it says curved, and we're going to click on the pointed button. Pointed. There you go. And we're going to do the same thing over on this side. Click on pointed. And now we've got something that looks a lot more like a semicircle. We might have to tweak it around a little bit. So let me grab the top curve and maneuver it a little bit. And if we do it properly, we should be able to get something that looks a little more like a semicircle. Let's bring this down a little bit. I'm looking for something that's a little closer to the shape of Deck's robot. We're not going to perfectly duplicate it here, but that's looking pretty good. Now let's straighten her out with my black arrow tool. What do you think, Deck? Like, to my mind, this is just looking a lot better. So let's remove.
Yeah, I really like that. It's very, very perfected.
Yeah, so if you want to up your game, Deck, you got to do fewer things like this freehand. Like, you have to learn to use some of the tools inside Scratch to do stuff perfect. I'm going to show you another example in a second here, Deck, as well. Like, sorry, I moved that to the back. There we go. All right, so that's already looking a lot better. These lines here also have they just don't look quite professional enough for me because the lines aren't parallel to each other, right? There's a little trick I can show you, Deck, that's really going to help you out with that. So let me delete a bunch of these, and I'm going to draw a new line here. And so how do we make sure a line inside Scratch is perfectly vertical so that it's not a little bit off? Each one of these that you drew was a little bit off and you probably thought you were drawing it perfectly. Here's a little hint.
Yeah.
When you're drawing, Deck, hold down the Shift key when you're drawing, and that forces you to draw on a 45-degree angle. So I can only do 45 and 90 and 135 and 180. And so if I hold that down, I can be sure that the first line that I draw here is going to be totally straight. And now I can just copy paste this guy. So I'm going to go Control V, and I'm actually going to use my arrow keys to move it around so that I can get the distance right. So let's go Control V again, and we'll get it set up right next to this guy, and I'll just go over and I'll tweak it until those distances are just right. There, you see how much smoother and cleaner that looks. So your mouse hand just isn't accurate enough to get those distances. When you're moving stuff by nudging it with this tool, by the way, you move it by 1 pixel at a time when you move to the right, unless you're holding down the Shift key, and then it goes 10 pixels at a time. So this is a really quick way to maneuver stuff around so that the spacing is perfect. So that's just another suggestion I'm going to make for just upping your art game there a little bit, Deck, so that you can get some more perfect stuff. Never ever try and draw circles or curves and stuff freehand, because they're just not going to end up looking cool. Okay, well that's really great. I do have another Extreme Makeover segment for you. I had a message on my profile page this week. I'm actually going to get to that right now. Let me just go. So I do take requests on my profile page, and here we had a message here from a person by the name of penguinjocko who said, "Do you like ants? If you do, can you please see this project?" And so I went over and had a look at his project. He calls it Ants Shooter, and it's a little bit of a asteroids-like game that he's made here, but there are ant heads flying across the screen instead of asteroids, and they break up into smaller ant heads. Let me show it to you guys.
Ants have attacked. Shoot the enemies.
So let me spin this guy around. So there we go, and then they break up into smaller ant heads. So I set Abraham loose on this, and I asked him to do an extreme makeover on this project, and I wanted to show that to you guys right now. So let's go ahead and do that right now.
Hello everybody, today we'll be taking a look at Ant Shooter by penguinjocko.
Ants have attacked. Shoot the enemies.
The game isn't that bad. It runs pretty smoothly, and I think I quite like it. But if there's one thing that I would add to this, it would be to change the ant heads. First, let's search up a reference photo. This ant head should be good enough. You can see that I was already trying this before with that other download. Now we just have to import the photo. Time to trace it over. You should do this in vector so that the ant head and the reference photo that you've traced over is on different layers. It's okay if your lines are a bit off, you can use the reshape tool to change them later on. Now that the tracing is over, we can switch to bitmap so that we can use the bucket tool more effectively.
Ants have attacked. Shoot the enemies.
Now our enemies look much better than before. Let's get a better look in full screen mode.
Ants have attacked. Shoot the enemies.
They were bigger than before, but you can easily change their size in the costume editor. Simply convert it back into vector and use the select tool to select the ant model and just resize it to make it smaller.
Ants have attacked. Shoot the enemies.
Now they're way smaller than before, but I think they can still be a bit smaller. I'll probably recommend to turn down the volume of the spray as well. Overall, I think this game is pretty neat and I had a fun time making it over. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that, Abraham. So, yeah, I actually was looking for an example of a way to teach using a tracing reference object, and so that's why I asked Abraham to look at this. So you can see that he came up with a fairly nice looking robot here. Ant here. And just by using a reference shape. Now, we could have just used the clip art, but I really like the idea of kids making their own art projects and using them as sprites. So, so pasting down an object in vector mode, something that you imported from the internet, and just simply tracing over it can end up creating quite a nice looking little sprite. So I'm just going to suggest, guys, that that is a great way to go. Hello, by the way, to Adam, who's joining us again this week. Hi, Adam, and nice to see you again. And we actually used your proper name this week, so you're on the ball to remind us about that. Anyway, so that's looking great. We have another, Matthew had a question for me. So Matthew was asking about the robot idol contest, and I did talk about it at the beginning of the stream. Matthew, I think you missed out on that. But so the robot idol contest is a contest that we're running where we're challenging kids to design their own robot and set it to music. You can find all the instructions on my website at chromeworks.ca/robot, or you can just go to the homepage, chromeworks.ca, and click on this link at the top of the page. That will bring you to the rules and instructions. And all my tutorials are here. I'm putting out a different tutorial each week. The first one was on building your robot. The second one was on animating your robot. Does that answer your questions, Matthew? All right. Anyway, so meanwhile, David is back with another one example of this really cool segment that I've started up called How They Do It. I asked David to have a look at some complex code inside a popular game and try and kind of reverse engineer how it was made and create a little lesson on a new Scratch technique. So here's David's latest report on frames per second counters. Let me show you that to you right now.
Today I discovered a new game called 3D Platformer on Scratch. It's exactly what it sounds like, where you jump across a bunch of different platforms and try to avoid the spikes and get to the end goal as fast as you can. One of the things I noticed while playing the game is that in the top right corner of the screen, there is a frames per second bar accurately telling you how many frames the game is running per second. Today we will show you how to program that. For those that don't know, FPS stands for the amount of frames loaded per second. A frame is a measurement of computer time. When the processing system in a computer starts to get high, the frames per second in the game start to drop. Alright, so here's the code for the frames per second. You'll see that when the green flag is clicked, the frames per second is immediately set to 31. We have a forever loop here with two variables, underscore tick and tick. In this forever loop, underscore tick is immediately set to tick. Then we wait 1 second, and then FPS is set to tick minus underscore tick. In another forever loop right here, you'll see that we are forever continuously changing tick by 1. So what this is doing is every second underscore tick is updating to this current value, and FPS is updating to the value of this after 1 second minus the previous value. Every frame, this tick goes up by 1. So this is how frames per second is calculated. This is useful when you have a lot of information going on in your program at once. Alright, so here is our example in Scratch, using the same code from the original 3D platforming game. Now, each block in Scratch is essentially what you would call a job. Scratch tries to run everything in their forever loops, and then when they are done, they go back to the top. So if we put these 4 in a forever loop, it tries to first change the tick by 1, then go to random position, then create clone of myself, and then erase all. And it tries to do these 4 actions in loop as fast as they can. And because they have to do it in order, that means the amount of times that the tick increases by 1 is less when there are more objects or jobs to complete. And what we are essentially doing here is we are measuring how many times we change our tick by 1 within a singular second. So as you can see, when we start the program, this FPS variable is at a ridiculously high number, from roughly 200,000 to as high as even 400,000 ticks. This is not an accurate frames per second. However, once you start animating things with Scratch, what will end up happening is Scratch's processing system slows down, and Scratch will not animate beyond 31 frames per second as its own built-in limit. You'll see right here, when I add this create clone of myself in this forever loop, and then put this here, immediately what happens is our processing system slows down significantly from what we originally had to about 31 frames per second, and it remains there pretty much. We could go even further if we wanted to and start adding other things like changing how all of these clones look, and you'll see that the frames are still struggling a little. But this gives you an accurate 31 to 30-ish frames. If we were to add in, however, a third job, such as if we are touching the color blue, then change our size by pick random -100 to +100, our frames per second are going to drop dramatically, because we are trying to do everything in this forever loop, and all of these clones are trying to do all of these actions, which means each of these, say 300 clones, are going to check to see if they are touching the color blue, and if they are going to change their size randomly, and if they aren't, well, it's still an extra action that has to be checked. So you'll see, as I put this in, the frames in the project will drop dramatically if you give it a second so the thing can actually load, because there's so much going on that it's struggling. As you'll see, already we are dropping to about a singular frame per second, because there is just so much that we have to keep track of, and this is a very accurate frames per second record, essentially. This program is useful for knowing what is or isn't causing massive processing lag in your program. So if we knew that this touching color blue was causing the program to slog to a singular frame per second, the obvious thing to do would be to remove it. And then by doing so, our frames per second should pick up again, because there's less things to do. As you'll see right here, by removing this block, our frames per second have returned to about 31 per second. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for that, David. Yeah, I had never thought about using FPS counters as a way to kind of torture test your game. If you're doing particularly complicated games and there's a lot going on and things are kind of freezing up, Using an FPS counter like that can really help out. You can just try tweaking things and see where the roadblocks in your game and the bottlenecks are, and then modify things so that you can run the game faster. And it might mean slowing down the animations a little bit, or not using a color effect or something along those lines. Good. Hello to Gokul Krishna. Hi. He says, and tell us where you're from, Gokul. I have a sneaky suspicion you're from India, but I could be wrong. So please tell us where you're from if you're interested, and I'll give you another shout out on the stream in a minute. So yeah, I don't think I recognize your name. A brand new viewer. That's fantastic. Welcome, Gokul. Okay, guys, so that's it for. I hope you guys are enjoying this this new segment. By the way, I just came up with this how they do that segment a little while ago, and I think it has lots of potential. If you see anything that you're interested in seeing us make a how they do that segment about, by the way, you can always contact me. I am emailable at info@chromeworks.ca, or another way lots of people have been getting in touch with me lately has been just by leaving a message on my Scratch profile page. Here I am, Mr. Tomac. Strangely enough, Scratch has me down in the United States, even though I'm here in Canada. Yeah, so Gokul's in India. It must be the middle of the night there, Gokul. Are you a night owl or something? What? Let's actually seriously talk to my assistant here, Alexa. What time is it in Delhi?
In Delhi, it's 9:11 p.m.
Yeah, so it's about 9. So it's like early evening in India right now. Interesting. So, well, I guess about 12 hours away from us here. All right, well, welcome, Gokul. Nice to. I don't think we've had a lot of viewers from India, so that's fantastic to hear from you. Yeah, you're one of the more faraway people. We had a few people from Singapore, and I believe we had one from Hong Kong viewing the other day, or a little not too long ago. But yeah, I don't think we've had a lot of viewers from India, so that's fantastic. If you'd like to get some more of the 1 billion people in India to watch my live stream, that would really do great for my numbers. So if you're enjoying what you're seeing here, please please like and share. All right, so I have one more segment here, and that is from Kevin. Oh, actually, I have two more segments here. I've got a segment from Kevin here, who does the Story Corner segment, where he looks at a digital storytelling project in Scratch and has a look at some of the techniques that the coder or artist used to make this project. So I'm going to show that to you right now. Where did it go? Here we go, Story Corner.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Story Corner. My name is Kevin, and today we're going to take a look at a short animation called First Night, made by a Scratcher called Headphone. Let's get started right away. What struck me as interesting about this project was how the Scratcher had created a 3D look on the character in this animation. Let's have a look inside. Going into the costume section, you'll notice that you can't technically turn the character's block head by simply moving it or attempting to spin it. So how did the Scratcher do it? Well, he basically just played around with the drawings by making only a few tweaks to the character's head and moving the character's facial features. To do that, You'll first need to create any type of character in the costume. A stickman works just fine. Just make sure the character has a blockhead. After drawing your character, copy the character to a second costume and expand its head horizontally a little. Then, add a line to the left or right side of the blockhead. Voila! Now you've got a character that could turn its head in a 3D looking way. Now that we've done it for a blockhead, we can also do it for a round head in a similar way. Let's get to it. First, create another character. Any character is fine. Just make sure it has a round head, like a stickman. After drawing your character, open the color fill and choose the fourth one in line from left to right. Choose two colors that will create a nice contrast or shade. Then, use the bucket tool to your left to move the center of the contrast around. You can create more similar costumes and animate each of them to create a short little animation of your own. A reminder that the 3D feeling is shown the most when you're creating something that involves character movement. That's it for today's story corner. I remind you to keep scratching. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more awesome story corner videos.
Yeah, okay, yeah, my audio is working. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool little technique. I have never seen that before. So I texted a copy of the first night in the chat here if anyone's interested. I think it's a really, really cool animation technique. And I asked Kevin to have a look at how to do it with round figures. I saw Paddler doing that, Paddler Games do that a few weeks ago during his live tutorial. And I thought that was an extra way, little thing that I could show you guys to up your animation game. Speaking of Paddler Games, who's a good friend of Chromeworks and Celebrity Scratcher, he is running his own live stream starting in just a couple of minutes. I've pasted the link in the chat if anyone's watching. Anyway, he is doing live game development on Scratch. He's been doing a multi-part series, and he's going to be broadcasting in just a couple of minutes. We're going to be wrapped up here real soon. Anyway, okay, so Adam asked me to ask, I can't say her name because she who shall not be named, what time it is in Poland. So let's try that. Alexa, what time is it in Poland?
In Poland, it's 4:48 p.m.
It's 4:48 p.m., Adam. I hope you're happy now. All right, so one last segment. Abraham found an awesome game. I have never seen this one before. It's called The Dungeon of Gorth. I don't know if you guys have seen it or heard of it, but it's a dark and creepy animation and just fantastic. It reminds me a little bit of a mobile game I played a while ago. I forget what it was called. But anyway, just a fantastic game, and I wanted to show you guys. So here we go.
Hello everyone, today we are checking out The Dungeon of Gorth by Captain Boanerges. The setting of the story is that you have been in prison for 4 years, and an earthquake finally breaks your chains, but now you are faced with the challenge of escaping the dungeon itself. It should be mentioned that Captain Boanerges actually offers a full playthrough of his games on his YouTube channel. Armed with nothing more than a candle, the objective of the game seems to be making into these red doors. The first level seems to be quite simple. The background moving along with the character makes this game feel like it has more depth. I wonder how they did it. The use of silhouettes in the Dungeon of Korth is reminiscent of a game called Inside. Although in terms of graphics they are quite different, and the Dungeon of Korth uses silhouettes way more. A bug I've noticed while playing this game is that you're not actually able to change the direction your character is facing while you're in the air. Here you can see me try to change directions while in the air, but ultimately failing. I believe that this is the most well-designed map so far, since it is full of traps and the floating platform as the top side, unlike the two other maps from before which only had 1 or 2 traps. In terms of difficulty, this map takes the cake, due to the robot chasing after you and forcing you to pick the right timing to jump the saw. Here I died because I hesitated to jump the saw after the robot started chasing me. No new enemies or traps were introduced later on in the game, so I'll cut the footage here. The Dungeon of Korth is definitely a platformer worth checking out. I just wish they would have a bit more levels. I won't spoil the game ending for you, so go check it out on Scratch. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, just really super graphics in this game. I have never heard of this Scratcher or seen his game before, but just lovely, lovely graphics in here. Does anyone remember the mobile game that I'm talking about that had graphics like this? It was quite a popular game for a couple of years, from a couple of years ago, where you were kind of a bird flying through this red and black environment, and there was other birds with you. Oh, I can't remember what it was like, and just watching this right now reminded me of it. I had a little flashback to it. Anyway, if anyone can leave me a comment or anything telling me what that game is, I'd love to hear it. Hi, by the way, to Hightor Plays 2022, who looks like he's a new Scratcher based on the year anyway. And welcome. Nice to see you. So I think we're pretty much wrapped up here for this week's episode. I am back again next week with the last sort of big installment in our Robot Idol series, and that is going to be teaching you how to synchronize your robot to music, and also how to use custom blocks to take the dance moves and create a block for each dance move, and that will allow us to really kind of zero in on finessing your robot video and getting it ready to enter in our contest. So our contest will be closing sometime probably near the end of January, and then we will be doing Robot Idol style playoffs, where we have a bunch of entries kind of shown side by side, and we'll have judges looking at them, and then we'll leave it out to the audience to vote on who they think is best. All right, guys, so that is all the content I have for this week. I hope you enjoyed this live stream, and I will be back next week with more Scratch goodness. Thank you very much for joining me, and happy scratching, guys. Bye now.
Happy scratching. Have a great day.
Thank you. Who was that? Oh,